Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Cafe Desnudo, a official podcast of Desnudo magazine, and we're here for another episode of Going to the Cottage. If you're only listening and not watching, you would see that I am here alone once again. My co-host Jorge is still MIA. Well, he's back in town. Last week he was in Colombia. He has since returned, but he has lots of things he has to take care of, as you may know from the previous episodes. He has a store. You guys also don't know that he also sings, so he has to do rehearsal. So he's pretty occupied for this week. So we have another solo episode with me. Honestly, though, I'm kind of shook because this going to the Cottage series is supposed to last 6 episodes, us reviewing the 6 episodes of Heated Rivalry. But for the sake of being consistent, having an episode every Monday, I made some extra episodes to use. Now, you would argue just that I should probably wait until he's available for the last episode, but I don't want to do that. I don't want there to be a gap between our last video up. That's why I keep doing these. But I do appreciate you guys coming through and still rocking with me despite the buffer episodes, right? So I really do appreciate that. Now, so today we're going to do another unpopular opinions, reading your comments from our reviews of Heated Rivalry. We have episode 5 and episode 4 and episode 5 of Heated Rivalry that we reviewed. I'm going to the comments on YouTube to see what you guys think and feel. I appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate you guys chiming in and having a good old time with us. It's been a really good time, I gotta say. It's been the best time, actually, so it's really fun. And I like these kind of videos. I like to almost talk back with you with, your feelings and everything. Like, it's a good conversation to have. And it's another way to enjoy these episodes, this show. Um, I do wonder if we should continue with another series. And I think since Jorge's schedule is way busier than mine, I think the route of us reviewing movies would be a better option. Um, it may not be a weekly review, maybe a monthly review, or maybe every 2 weeks, maybe. Well, I'll talk to him and see what he wants to do. Because I know he likes doing these videos. He's just really occupied. And now he might be in the process of moving potentially. So, he might be really occupied. But he insisted, though. He insisted that we do these reviews in person. Because I was like, we can just do the reaction and reviews, you know, w- you know, on FaceTime or, some type of video chat program, Zoom or something. You know what I mean? We can do it that way. He's like, no, it's better in person, which he is correct. It is better in person. So that's why I'm like, all right, we'll fill this in. But anyways, with all that being said, before we get started, please, guys, go to desnudomagazine.com and get yourself a copy of our anniversary issue. That's issue 41. But also on the website, you can get some archived issues. I'm in the process of updating it so you can get, I think, up to episode, oh my God, up to issue, I think 34, I think, are up on there. I'm going to add the rest from 34 downward. I had to redo the website, so it's been a process of getting all the archival issues back on the website, but I'm in the process of doing that. But in the meantime, get the most recent issues. You can get them digitally, you can get them physically, and whatever you guys do, I do appreciate the support. All right, let's get into these comments. I'm on here on the Going to the Cottage Heated Rivalry episode 4 review video. I'm going to sort by new for the comments. There's not that many on this one. And the first comment says 10:15. It makes me think of when a stranger calls. What did we say at 10:15? Hold on, let me see. Scrub. Okay, 10:15. What did we say? Kevin Bacon in it?
The Glass House. Ghost.
I think it's a thriller.
Hollow Man.
It's a thriller movie.
Oh, wait, shut up. Oh,
Oh,
sorry. The way he grabs on that ass is so perfect.
oh my gosh.
Oh my god. What's happening in this scene, Jorge? Let the people listening know. Shane and Ilya are making love. Love. They are making.
I think I was trying to figure out because the Ilya's apartment with the windows reminded me of. I still can't remember the movie, but someone said it reminds them of When the Stranger Calls. So I guess that house looks similar in that movie, and I do think I remember how that house looked. It was like kind of grand, like how Ilya's home was. So I think that's why they said that. All right, the next comment says, "Hey, Jorge is back. I enjoy watching you two, Diontrae and Jorge, react to Heated Rivalry. I really appreciate that comment. I did reply saying thank you, but Jorge also was in the comments saying, "Ah, thank you so much. We really, really do appreciate it, y'all. We really do." Um, Next comment says, "Love this episode. Y'all are hilarious. I cannot wait for next week's reaction because, oh my gosh, spoilers redacted." Okay, fun fact. We do like if you ever see us like okay, between episode 4 and 5, we filmed those back to back the same day. So it wouldn't be necessarily spoilers if you guys talked more about what happened in the next episode because for you guys it would have been a whole week after. But for us, we watched it back to back. But we do say don't spoil it in the comments. I appreciate it, even though we already know. Now, episode 6, we don't know because Jorge hasn't seen episode 6 yet because we haven't filmed together. But normally, we would film multiple episodes at one time, and we will already know what's going on. But anywho, really, what triggered Shane is that at this point, both boys know they can't be together and keep thinking they need to end it. But when they say each other's name, after the tuna melt and ginger ale of it all, Shane realized he was falling for a guy he can't be with, and he freaked out. Um, sure. I wish the show had more context to that. I'm guessing this is something you can infer. I'm guessing this is something that's in the novel, but in the show, that part of it, you know, them knowing they can't be with each other for real at this point wasn't brought up. You know what I mean? But Shane was triggered to the point where he left. He was like, "Oh, I can't." It got too real for him. And he does kind of explain that in the next episode. So like, sure. Um, but yeah, let's see. Let's see. Last comment. Oh, they also said Shane didn't spend the night. They only napped. Okay. It seemed like he spent the night. It was the next day, but I guess it was that same day they just went to sleep and woke up later, which could be true. Which I'm sure is true. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm sure it's true. But it seemed like It seemed like because they bust down, fade to black. It seemed like the next day, but it could have been that later that afternoon. Um, and Shane's drink has been ginger ale, and Ilya picked up on it. Shane also knows Coke is Ilya's favorite, and he realized they only know stuff about each other. But the show wasn't the show hasn't expressed that, which is true. The show doesn't give a lot of context to what the book does, and a lot of things are not so clear. And this comment's true. Like Ilya knowing Shane likes ginger ale was not displayed in the show at all, but he just happened to have ginger ale and Shane happened to like it. So it all worked out. But I guess in the book, it was a way to show that Ilya is more thoughtful than he may seem, I guess. Um, but yeah. All right. So let's go on to our review of episode 5, which I think episode 5 was just the best time from reacting to it and a review of it. It just was the bee's knees, you know? Let me sort these comments on here. Okay, so the first comment. How has Ilya ever been toxic? He never falsely promised Shane anything. They were both on the same page that their relationship was strictly casual with no feelings involved. Ilya does not owe it to Shane to share feelings and whatnot. Him clamming up and not wanting to talk about personal things is perfectly within his rights. Just because Shane wanted to do it on his own accord doesn't mean Ilya had to return the favor. It's okay if Ilya wants to open up, but criticizing him for not doing something for not doing nothing wrong is insane. Okay, I will agree with this comment. This is something that I have shared as we've been reviewing. Now, obviously, this is in response to Jorge feeling like Shane or Ilya is withholding feelings and context and explaining things to Shane, which he is, but I don't think he's wrong for that. This comment on here doesn't think he's wrong for that. Um, and I know Jorge doesn't technically think he's wrong for that. He just wish Ilya was more receptive to opening up to Shane and answering Shane's questions and communicating. But I do agree. He's not obligated to do so, and he's not wrong for not doing it. It would be nice if he did do it, obviously, but I don't think we need to burn him at the stake because he's not a bad guy because of it. And I think if someone is this way, it's okay to kind of adjust. It's okay to kind of step back if it doesn't make you feel good. Um, I don't know if Shane would have done that, but I would have. If I didn't like how someone communicates or I wanted more, I'm not gonna drag you for not doing what I think you should do with me, especially in a context of we're not romantically involved. I can be like, okay, I don't like that. Let me bounce. This is not how I operate. And if you can't match my freak like that, I'm a bounce. Or I could be like, well, now I know that you don't do that. I'm gonna have to meet you halfway, and we just gonna be casual about this, like we've been doing. You know what I mean? So I agree with that comment. The next comment says, "Oh, that Robin Thicke was my jam." Oh, I think I mentioned um, "When I Get You Alone" by Robin Thicke. The next comment says, "Come through, Rose Landry. We stand on Rose Landry. She's a queen up in this household." Ooh, home focus. Sorry, y'all. Make sure my camera's focused on me. Focus. They had such cute banter at the bar. It was so cute. Yes, the black guy is Scott's best friend, Carter Vaughn. They play on the same team in NY. Okay, because there's two like black men in the show. One is, I guess, Carter Vaughn, and there's another one. I'm not sure. I think he's on Shane's team. I think. Now I'm thinking about it, but he has an accent. I'm not sure if he's like French or something. But you get confused. You would confuse the two if you don't, because you don't see them together at one point, and their lady looks so similar. So I had to explain that to Jorge because that's a different guy. Okay. The next comment says the rivalry is not between Shane and Ilya. The rivalry is from the fans, the team, the reporters, the media, the MLA's perspective. Okay, that's true. I can get with that. In hockey, some teams have a rivalry with, funny enough, Boston and Montreal are the big rivalry. Just the fact that the two players are on a rival teams, they are rivals to fans and organizations, even though they don't dislike each other. This is why they're considered rivals. Hope that makes sense. It makes total sense. I think I bring up the fact that the whole rival thing doesn't make sense to me is because people like to say, like in the show, they're like, oh, they're right, they hate each other. Like the mom, Shane's mom, that even that nurse in that one scene in the room when he came in. But you're right, that's just outside perspective. People are saying that. So you know what? But I also think that sometimes people like to make Ilya like the villain or the antagonist in their dynamic, which he isn't, to kind of feel the rivalry aspect. But like I said, I don't see the rivalry in it. But on the outside with the team thing, okay, that makes all the sense in the world. So I appreciate this comment. Okay. Oh, this comment. Okay, I thought it was longer, but it's not that long. It says, I think one of the things that people constantly seem to overlook is that Ilya and Shane were 17 when they met. It's why their parents were so involved. They were minors. They were 19 when they finally hooked up for the first time. Young adults don't make good, healthy decisions, let alone Shane, who is anxious on the autism spectrum and has to maintain the golden boy status. And then there is Ilya, who was raised in a repressive, controlling, abusive family and country. He is never enough and is forced to take on the parent role in his family. Ooh, he was the provider and not the other way around. Not to mention the other trauma that we learned about here. They both had a lot of self discovery and just growing up to do. It's frustrating as an audience member. but it is portrayed in a more realistic side of life. People are messy. I gotta agree. I gotta agree. These are young men navigating their life and are making decisions that they feel is right for them at the moment. They don't have much life experience, but they know what's up. They know they have to, like, especially he knows he has to grow up quickly, become the provider for his whole family, deal with the abuse. Like, it's a whole thing, which forms how they are, informs their decision making, informs their a point of view. So I agree with all that. You're right for that. Um, the next comment, they flash back 4 months at the start of episode 3. Scott and Kip had definitely already been together. Okay, so the scene where Scott and his teammate are in the coffee shop with Shane is for it's set up to show Shane's anxiety about the whole queer thing because old boy mentioned his friend might be gay because he's on the skating team. But in episode 3, that same scene plays, and we cut to Scott's perspective, and what is shown in episode 3 is a flashback. That's what people keep saying. That's a flashback to before the meeting in the coffee shop, and he's just feeling a ways about it, which makes that context makes so much sense when you really think about it. Now, I wish episode 5 would have had a follow up to that, like him inviting Kip to the game. He just appeared there at the end of the episode, and the whole thing happened. I wish we had a conversation between the two. And I don't know. I kind of wish we had more of their narrative pushed through at that point to bring it together. Because right now, all we can do is either base it on what we know from the book, which I haven't read, so I can't, or what could be happening based on him being there. So obviously, he must have gotten contact with Scott after that whole birthday thing in that episode 3. You know what I mean? Um, Someone replied to that comment and said yes. And since we know that Scott and Kip were together for like 2.5 months, by the time Scott was in Russia for the Olympics, they had broken up for about a month and a half. That's exactly why the comment made about Shane's friend, Joe, being brave hits Scott so hard. He was probably thinking, if being out is an uncomfortable situation makes somebody brave, does it make me a coward? Oh, it's incredibly good storytelling, acting, directing, casting, cinematography. I agree. Oh, I love this comment right here. I love this comment right here. Y'all A with that. I agree. I agree. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send this review to Jorge, and I want him to reply to the comments in the comment section. Normally he does, but he's been out of town, so he hasn't. I don't think he's seen these comments yet. Um, Hold on. Reply. Not replay. Reply to the comments. Okay, so I'm gonna get Jorge to respond to the comments in this review for episode 5 because we had a good time reacting. We had a good time reviewing. Jorge said this is his favorite episode. And he loves episode 3, but he thinks episode 5 is his favorite. And I agree. I think that's a great episode. Mine's still episode 3, but episode 5 really did his big one. Now we'll see how he feels after he watches episode 6 and see if he's really which episode is his favorite. I think it still might be 5. I still think it might be. And we'll see if my opinion changes because I've only seen every episode twice now, except episode 6. So episode 6, I'll watch again with Jorge. When the first time I watched it, it's not my favorite episode. But maybe my feelings will change based on our reaction to it, based on Jorge's feelings. We'll see. I mean, I can't imagine it changing. It's still gonna be episode 3, but I'm curious to see how I'm gonna feel once we get to episode 6. All right. So that's it with the comments. Sorry if this is a shorter podcast. There weren't that many comments on here, but we may do what we had. I appreciate you guys coming through and listening to another episode of Going to the Cottage. I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below on this. If you have any thoughts and opinions beyond this, let me know. And I will catch you guys in the next episode.